What is art?
It means so much to many people, so it also gets washed out because it's used so much.
Having no fear in expressing yourself is art.
I think art is anything that provokes, touches, or affects the person that watches it.
I feel the art is more like the detail in a life. So it's, sometimes you won't notice, but sometimes if you pay attention, you will find a detail.
Authenticity is something that is so lost sometimes, and what artists really do, even if it's like music, movies, paintings, it's they're just authentic to themselves and show their story. I think that is something that we really need to focus on, being real for once and not just putting on a persona to look good or something to look symmetrical or look nice for Instagram, for example. So I think art is just, it's quite ugly, and that's the beauty in it.
I think that it's okay if you don't like art, but art, it's in every single cell of the universe, even if whether you like it or not.
The scientists are more looking for the material things, how heavy it is, what color it has, and so on. But the artist is closer to the religion than the scientist, but with the same questions about life.
I think art is actually what you need it to be, in a way.
And to me, it's it's a big, very big word. It can mean so many things. I mean, there was one person who said art is magic, that it means magic.
I remember I didn't want to be like everyone else. I want to be an artist, kind of thing. That sort of longing to sort of, I want to be good at this thing. Nobody in my family had ever done that kind of thing, gone and studied and done something. My father hadn't really gone to university or either. And then of course he was dead, of course, so he couldn't help me anyway. I mean, I suppose my mum didn't really know what I was going to do either. And people were saying, oh, don't do that, it's rubbish. I lived in a very small town in Northern Ireland then, when I was growing up. The first thing I remember being interested in, or sort of having an ambition, was the astronomy thing. When I discovered music, that it sort of disappeared because the music thing took over every part of me. I think I sort of sacrificed those years. I missed a lot of socializing and things when I was young. To sort of, I need to do this now. So I wanted to show people, this is the thing you should be listening to, or look at this. This is how amazing it can be, kind of thing. That was my passion more than anything. I'm going to show how fantastic this instrument is because it feels like everyone's missed it or something. I think in England it felt like it was like the worst thing you can do is play the organ. I haven't practiced all week. Oh yeah. Just as well not playing that one today. Let's see. Ja. Min prao här, jag måste prata med honom. That was when we were in Monaco drinking beer for the first time.
Yeah, that's when he looks like John Lennon. I think.
But that's me standing there. That's like we went when we walked up to the mountain. That was 2 weeks before he died. Yeah. Interesting. Well, my mum and you and my dad. Interesting.
It looks very...
Very no. But there we are again too. At the crayfish party.
That's true. Doing funny things. So it's on the steps at the house.
Scruffy dad and very well dressed.
Very well dressed.
I remember we used to look at these pictures all the time.
Did you?
Whenever after he died, there was these pictures did the rounds then. And like, oh, look, and there's that.
Let's see if you can actually...
Goodness. This is Sweden in the 80s, 90s. My father moved here in 1989, it was the Christmas then, I think. Why I started interested in music then, I think he played a big part in that. I think, well, I discovered it kind of sort of late in my childhood, like when I was 13. Yeah, it was very exciting. Just going into the church itself and then you could see this thing. It was really exciting, I remember. It was my stepmother, she knew the organist there. Probably the first time I sat at an organ in my life, you know, the first pipe organ I'd ever played. It was like, wow, magical sort of things happening. It was really absorbing and I could go into it and disappear. So my whole life would have been very different if he'd met a woman in Belfast or something and moved with her then. Lord knows. It's very interesting to think, what could I have done then? Or where would I have ended up? I remember talking about this with another musician who in the same year as me, and we were talking about, imagine if you could do this when you were 25 instead of 18 or whatever, because you're such a different person.
Yes, of course.
All the time we spent in the pub instead of it was. I mean, some people work really hard, and I admire them. God, so much time was wasted on. Yeah. But of course, maybe it was developmental in another way. I don't know if that's worthwhile though, because everyone can go and sit in a pub. Yeah. But but it was formative sitting in a pub when you're 19 or whatever, too.
Some people do know from the start in the school, this is what I'm going to be, so I study and I become that. But it's quite rare. Most people are accidentally finding something and then finding a person or an opportunity, and then poof, they are working with something that they didn't plan at all. That's in my experience anyway.
And maybe it's all down to contacts, because I mean, it seems you're sort of the contact I've had here. I didn't really have any contacts at home because my parents weren't in any, had a network in that way. Yeah, it's interesting with the fate thing.
Yeah, it is.
I often reflect over that. If he had been alive now, would I have moved here at all? Or maybe I would have. Or like you say, would I have worked? Would I have given up? Never really thought about what happens when I'm finished studying. It was also new to me, this whole like, oh wow, I could actually I could maybe do this for a living, but I've never really thought. I have no connections in England anyway. How old was I then? 20, 22, 3. I sort of lost the sort of will to, do I want to be a musician? Do I want to, I'm not knowing how, having not having anything to go to after studying for 5 years or whatever, and realizing that I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do or what I even could do. Then I lost the will to sort of live, kind of thing. Well, not live, but just to know what to do. And then did a teaching diploma. So when I was teaching, I could never play anywhere or practice. That made me really long for it. When I was towards the end of my student days, I was getting a bit sick of it, I think. Been doing the same sort of thing for 5 years, and this was going, ugh. I didn't feel like I was progressing either. So, but taking a break reignited, I think, the will to really try and go for it for one last time. When I moved here, I thought, I'll go for it now and see what happens. If it doesn't work out, I'll just go back and do more teaching.
Okay, I better go down and see if they have any requests. Hey.
When I was a teacher, that sort of forced my hand to sort of do that or do nothing kind of thing. It felt like I had to make a choice, to at least try, and then just see and take my chances. I moved here with nothing, I just took chances. See. But I didn't really have a plan. I think I knew that I could maybe get some work playing for, filling in for like the organist here. People started to know my name a bit maybe, and I got a whole summer of work in the Sophia church up there, which was perfect. And then a vacancy came in this wooden church. Very lucky. And the timing was exceptionally good, really. Maybe you need to go through this shit to come out as like a butterfly or something.
Sometimes you sort of get it yourself, the emotion thing. It's like, ooh. It's like, oh, fuck. Sometimes you can't, it's very unprofessional, but it means I'm human, maybe. Good. At least a little bit left. I'll go in there. So next week I have to do, I'm gonna write that now.
To play with two hands and get everything correct, and then play with the feet also, and then coordinate everything, and so perfect. I understand how much it takes to practice to come to this level.
He's the only one that talks to his audience before and after the recital, and is open-minded, and you can wish any music you would like him to play. He likes people. It's easy to talk to them.
The fact that we are moved by music doesn't prove that it's that there's a magic person in the sky. Our brains are so fantastically complex, it's probably sort of react in a way because it's a certain vibration and we're programmed for certain things instinctively, of course, in many ways. But I think why we get moved by it, I mean, if our brains are wired to respond to certain sounds, if we hear a wolf shout, our brains are probably wired to go, that's probably go home now or something. I'm quite convinced that music has a sort of a almost supernatural power. I mean, not in the literal way, but like a developmental for the brain. Like if you play an instrument, it's good for your brain. If you listen to different kinds of music and expressions, it's probably good for you, gets you interested in different things, opens doors and things. Otherwise, why would we do it? Yeah.
Art for me is it's a way to express thoughts and ideas and also criticize society.
Maybe another country you don't have like the right to speak, then you can paint something and leave it on the, I don't know, maybe on the wall or something and let people just, maybe leave a message or something like that. So art is very important. It's like music, you can't stop art. So art is like breathe or something, so you cannot stop it.
Not just to make a beautiful picture, but to ask people, to ask what sort of society do we live in, something like that. I think it's art. It should be art.
I think the exploration of uncertainty and the uncertainty in the world and how to create something within that gap of uncertainty.
In some way it started in the family, because I didn't like the way we lived. It's a dysfunctional family I've been growing up in, and as a child, like 5 years old, you see this missing parts of life. It's not connected. I stand at Sergels Torg every Wednesday. I usually stand there alone, and meeting somebody and having a to unite in a vision some sort can make you believe, and believing can be the first way for a change to be achieved in your life. And this change, I think, is a kind of art. Not art that you do by yourself, but that is being done with you. Art that transforms you. Ja, kom och fråga.
För klimatet och framtiden onsdagar. Vad vill ni med det här?
The sign is about a movement. People gathering together for climate justice, for another world is possible. And a movement is also a form of art. People occupying a place where their presence contributes to another world through this presence.
Sometimes I even had that thought. Maybe I could drive my car in the worst kind of fuel that will destroy the planet, and the sooner that humanity is dead, the better. Or maybe a war, or a nuclear war. The world, I mean, look at the dinosaurs. I'm not telling you that this is the solution, but it's a thought. That is actually,
I definitely understand, because I had some of these thoughts before, but then I realized that we have a lot of we always say we're saving the planet. No, we're not saving the planet.
No, we're not.
It does no change to the planet if we destroy. We're not going to destroy it, because after millions of years there will be new life on this planet. What we are doing is to save humanity on the planet.
The best way to keep the environment good for the rest of the world, for the animals and for the environment, is to don't get any kids. Why do people keep getting kids?
I think it's like that you have a certain life that is many other people have already lived, and that is the safest way. There are alternative lives. You don't get a kid, you don't even work, you become an activist or you become an artist. That is always more challenging.
I want to go to the embassy.
Yeah. I see.
Yes, we can
go there together.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
curious.
With the subway. This art school was like a retreat for me. I was 23. I had a lot of thinking and meeting people and philosophy and of course painting. And then I went away on a trip to Greece and then I bicycled my way home. This made me thinking about how I live my life because I experienced so much other things on my way. So for me it was about letting go, and this was frightening. It was also frightening for my parents because I let go of many things that they thought I shouldn't let go of, like money and like education and everything you get stuck into because you think this is life, this is important, and in some ways many things are important, but it won't let you come alive. Art is a way to come alive, I think. There's it says, war destroys climate. War destroys climate. I think everything in our common life is a form of art. Eating, standing, walking. If you're aware of it, or somebody else is aware of it, it becomes a part of art. Art of living, art of contributing to life, art of seeing each other, needing each other. It's not a sort of a performance. Even if performing life is a performance in a way.
You can get in touch with your own feelings through art and maybe explore some sides of you that you didn't know you have. So, yeah.
Sometimes the best pieces of music that we hear aren't considered the best pieces when we first hear them, but at some point something clicks. And I think that's just like the voices of many people. It doesn't have to be immediately apparent, or you don't have to agree, but there's still something of value there. And that's how each individual or conglomerates of people grow, learn, and advance.
It's done out of maybe passion, love, of interesting, of something that you want to create, something that you want to not just create for other people. I mean, you create for yourself.
I also think art provides a safe space to talk about stuff, because it's a certain context that you might not get into otherwise if it's not provided by art. So it's very important, in my opinion.
I'm trying to dress up all the time. I took the most crazy things on, and I expected try to push it a little bit, because I was in another country and everyone was like, you can be however you want in Berlin, they will not care. So I really tried to push. I took big things on the shoulders and did extreme things every day when we were in museums and things, but it was fabulous. No one cared.
No one cared. But you still look like a freak.
Yeah.
But if you are in London, it's completely different. You can dress whatever you want. You can put a bikini or a thong on the street. People wouldn't give a fuck. They'll be like, go mate, go for it. You look fabulous. My darling, you're great. And you wouldn't look like a freak, because everybody does the same thing. But that's our purpose. We have to make it more interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Get down from there and catch those puppies!
Honestly, I have always been the weird kid. I'm still very obsessed with fantasy and cartoon and the things that people think is a little bit childish. I still admire a lot. I still watching like Pokemon and things that people maybe now in grown up age will not see, but I'm still watching it and I'm still become happy of it. I have always liked to pretend and imagine stories for myself and create stories, create different kind of happenings for myself, because I have always escaped from reality a little bit. It has been my way to feel that I can feel free in a way. In the beginning, I didn't think I had any talent or anything, and I was like playing around and try to find myself. So yeah, I think my mother was a little bit worried that I was an loner, and I was quite aware about that the life is not something that I took for granted when I was little. So I was very depressed a lot, and I have a lot of moments that I felt that it would be better to end the life. So my biggest turn in my life was when my mother said to me once in the car, "Adam, whatever you do, don't do what me and my father does, that we stay home and be a boring person. Try to go out there, experiment with your life. The experience to fail is sometimes very important because it could add something extra to your thing that you want to do next time." So I always working to edit and do things better when I can do it. I always find something to do better. So this is the inside of the creation I'm doing now, the lining. This work is the amount what you do when you do a suit. It's a lot of work. I have tried it on, so it looks like this right now. So I changed my directions a lot. So I like this a lot. It's a company that I made this for, and it's handmade. When I see that I have put time into it and creativity, I think I'm happy what I'm doing. I'm trying to do different, new ideas every time. It always feels good to create your own things, always. And that's what I'm like to live for. I think we all have some creativity inside of us. How addicted you are to it, I think that's the differences between all of us. How we want to include that as a part of our life. I think I am very addicted to be creative. If I don't become creative, I become depressed. When I'm doing art and just go into it, I always enjoy it a lot. I should say that art is my kind of religion because it makes me happy. I see art as something bigger than just material thing. I see deeper meaning in everything that I'm doing, and what I'm doing is quite meaningful for me. And when I do drag, I need to push myself to be more open-minded. And it helps me as a person to meet people and that kind of stuff. So I should say that this is my more private creativity that I have when I'm painting. I don't think beautiful and ugly existing. I just think that we have different opinions and we are programmed in different kind of ways depending on where we come from and depending on what we have around us. We are reflecting around colors and shapes in different ways because we have different kind of chemical actions in our brains, so we are reflecting on art differently. Just trying to letting my instincts to control me a little bit, and sometimes I go just for what I think looks great. So it's very differently what I'm going on, actually. Sometimes I'm scared to do my moves because I don't know what to do, and then I need to let it go and just yeah, let it be something. And I feel very productive and it's just flowing on. It's very great to have that feeling. I have always been a person that likes to be with myself. It's hard to like get me to do something outside of my own rhythm before. So I was very much, when my mother wanted me to go out more and meet more people and do more crazy stuff, I wanted to be home and play computer, or I did my own things. My mother supports me. She has always supported me for what I'm doing, and yeah. People care too much how people should look like all the time. Why should it matter? If a person wants to dress up like a woman, why should that matter for another person? I will never understand that. And people are almost more on me when I'm not in drag. When I like take off my beard and have a little bit like a female makeup, people always jump more at me when I look more femme. If I look like a merge with a female, they become confused and they want an answer what kind of gender I am. I don't understand that. So, no, it's very, very triggering and weird. Uppsala is the place where my life turned, because I was so depressed before. It was so much twists between my mother and father, and I couldn't be myself as I wanted to be. I had my best friends that I met that changed my life totally. I moved to Stockholm and explored the drag life, but it started in Uppsala with my, if you take a long story short, yeah. You just need to have respect for the process and the time for it. If you care too much how it looks like for the moment, it will distract you a lot. So it's always hard to do this when people are around, because I think too much what people will think. That's your biggest enemy as a creator, to handle those as emotions, to not take in what people think and how that affects your creative process. Of course, it's more hard to do ugly drag, as the thing that people think is ugly, to do more experimental and dare to be ugly. I think it's also interesting, but you don't have the same love from people back. But it's very interesting to go out and just be messy and not care what people think and just see what happens. Okay, Magnus nu. Hej älskling. So honey, my idea is to just have my jock straps, then have an ostrich robe over it, have my black comfortable lavender whip boots. I will do a blue normal drag makeup, and then I will scratch one of the side down.
Okay.
And then I will have a wig. I will scroll the proper side with scrolls.
Yeah.
And then this side will be TC.
Okay.
So I have just slept on one side and
Yeah, okay.
So I go out from the bed. You know, when I coming home from the club and I do this.
Yeah. It's like half face down in the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think
Like
will do.
smoosh it like that.
Exactly. I met Magnus at the place that I worked on when I DJ'd. We started to be with each other and he helped me to do a headpiece. After that we have met each other a lot and we bound with each other, and ever since then we have been together. My own drag have evolved a lot when I have moved to Stockholm and explored to be more versatile. I was not at all very artsy before. The only thing I don't like, if they would say, I don't see what you're doing as drag, I see it as art and not drag, then I become a little bit obsessed, because I am obsessed in the form drag, and drag for me is an art form. I always have loved drag, and I want to be a drag queen. I'm honored to be a part of the drag world. I don't think it's possible to not be creative. Even if I couldn't move, I could pretend and become in my own fantasy world in my head. I have been in that situation too many times, to be forced to go out and work in drag when I don't feeling well and I need to mingling around and being a good hostess. Then when I really want to scream from inside, it's, yeah. And I think the power of drag helps you a lot to just, for the moment, forget the issues and try to think about what you need to think about. The important thing for me is to enjoy my beautiful outfit and share that with all the other people, to how do my visual art that I wear and what I'm doing affect the people around me? And I think it's a lot about that. I really feel free when I'm doing my drag, and that's a very important step in my drag, what I'm doing. And that's a problematic thing to work in drag also, because when I'm working in drag and trying to make my customer happy, sometimes it deletes what I'm really enjoying with drag. And that's also always a conflict inside me when I'm working professional now. It was a long time ago I walked out, as I will do today, in drag just because it shall be fun, not to just make the coins. Because I didn't do coins when I started with drag, and it was not important for me then. When you're grown up, you need to work. So it's a little bit about that also. I'm not young anymore. I'm just trying to do the thing that I love to do. This is how I look like after when I've been on a club and go to the bed. Oh. Okay, we need to go now.
I think art is happiness.
Art can be brilliant, art can be rubbish, but whichever thing it does, it makes you think, and that's, I think, good.
Of course, we don't understand it 100% all the time, but just a little bit make you a better person.